stalking is a way of making a person hear voices. Gang stalkers know exactly what they're doing. Through the last 4 years of my gang stalking experience, because I stayed quiet and I didn't act out of line, I made gang stalkers actually wonder the efficacy of their strategy. One of the biggest secrets of gang stalking is that gang stalking is actually a way of making someone hear voices. I am telling you this because during most of my gang stalking experience, I was gonna call it my gang stalking career, because during my gang stalking experience, I played it off like if nothing was happening, which led to gang stalkers actually doubt the efficacy of the operation. This in itself led to gang stalkers say things around me that exposed their intentions. One of the things was when I was at the gym on 3rd and Chula Vista, and there was 2 guys and they were looking at me, looking really upset. And one of them said, he's just playing stupid, he can totally hear them. One thing. And then another one, I was at work at the O'Reilly Auto Parts in Imperial Beach, and my coworker said, he has to talk to the voices. This in itself confirmed to me that the purpose of gang stalking is to make a person hear voices. Additionally, there was another time when someone began talking to me about hacking. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm scared that my computer is getting hacked. But he said it in an ironic manner, like if you're saying something out of irony. And I only said, oh, that's awful, I'm so sorry that's happening to you. And then that's when he stopped on his tracks and he said, you don't think you're getting hacked? And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Even though there was a point where I didn't believe that I was getting hacked. However, I never said anything. I just never did. Because I always knew that what these people wanted was a show. And I never gave it to them. At least to the best of my ability. I gave them a show in the beginning when I thought we were playing a game. But when I figured out that it wasn't a game, then that's when I realized, oh shit, I've been making myself appear like a fool. But I got over it really quickly. That was when the gang stalking signal was a thing. I thought we were playing a game of if you look, when someone does that, you lose. And I was playing up against everyone. So here I am like a dumb person being like, huh. I thought it was a game in the beginning. And I guess it was supposed to be something more fatal, but I thought it was a joke. Anyways, so I was actually having fun during that time because every time I went like that and they looked, they went like, damn it. And I thought it was a game. I really thought we were playing. I honestly thought that we were playing. I thought it was a game. It was an annoying one and I had no way of exiting, but I was just playing along because I thought everyone was playing a game with me. But then I realized, oh my God, I'm like walking on the street and going like that to people that I don't know. And then I was like, okay, yeah, that looks stupid. I'm making a fool of myself. So I just like stopped, like completely. But I honestly thought that like for the beginning of the entire gang stalking, I honestly thought that the beginning of the gang stalking operation was a game of hand wave that I had never played before, but I had a lot of fun actually. So that game I played for like a year, and there was a moment where I was like, I'm gonna play another game where I am gonna absolutely have no response to this. And I got actually really good at that, but it took me a couple of years. Well, going back to the main topic, gang stalkers themselves indirectly told me what they were intending to do. And the methodology works. I was actually looking into auditory hallucinations. And what drives auditory hallucinations primarily is confusion. And like we said, gang stalking is an operation that is driven primarily by confusion. This is how they confuse a target. When you're walking around the street or at the gym or wherever it is that the target is getting harassed, people are going to indirectly harass the target. For example, I had people yell at me W-H-O-R-E. I had people yell at me samoso, but with a B, which means stupid. And I was literally getting harassed all the time. My boss at the O'Reilly Auto Parts in Imperial Beach, she would literally walk around me and say, "Minga tu madre." Like I heard her. And it's like, your voice is very unique and your voice doesn't sound like the voices that I hear in my head. They're completely different. So I could always tell when someone was actually cursing at me because the voices that I was hearing in my head had nothing to do with the voices of the people that worked with me. All of these events led me to the conclusion. These people are actively trying to confuse me. See, because these people would whisper things around me And they would always do it when I wasn't looking. For example, my ex-boss at the O'Reilly Auto Parts in Imperial Beach, she used to walk by me and she would say a curse word right next to me. All my coworkers did that there, all of them. And that was done to me literally 8 hours a day, 5 times a week for 3 years. What this does is that because you don't see who's doing that, whenever someone walks by you, your brain is going to start imagining people actually cursing you, because that's what your brain knows. That's what your life experience does, that it fills in the blanks of the things that you don't see. You predict outcomes. We are continuously predicting things. The harassment does it so that someone walking by you and whispering an obscenity to you becomes such a common occurrence that that is your brain's prediction of what's going to happen when someone walks by you. So your imagination begins working against you, fulfilling the empty spots of your reality. And by that I mean that if enough people walk by you and call you a loser, after hundreds of times of that happening, when someone walks by you, your mind is going to create the voice saying loser. Quite literally, your brain will create the voice. And there will not be a difference in between an actual whisper and what your imagination creates. That effect is what leads people into believing that everyone is a gang stalker. Because now that you have so much experience with people harassing you, your imagination is going to start filling in the blanks and it's going to create the whispers. So if you're getting stalked, if you happen to be a target, what you have to do is to block everyone and anyone that has any type of intention of pushing any self-destructive behavior or anything that will make your mind tired. If you're getting stalked, you have to always be rested. Don't consume any drugs. Don't hang out with moronic people, because most of the people that participate in this are moronic in nature. They're dual-witted. And while you are under this type of duress, you have to take care of your mind, because you are literally, because your mind is literally under attack. Gang stalking is a very intentional way of making someone hear voices, which was confirmed to me many times indirectly. What fuels the confusion is the behavior of people, because gang stalkers will behave nicely to you out of the blue, and then they will whisper, "Mother effer," and they will cover their mouths and whisper, "Mother effer." This had a very interesting effect, because if enough people do this and whisper something, with time, whenever someone does this, your mind will produce the whisper. Just like if you have enough people walking by you and whispering you an offensive word, you will actually get to the point where you will hear an offensive word every single time someone walks by you. And you will believe that that person whispered it. I'm telling you this because I believe that was the case, but I never said anything, because I'm not going to be out accusing everyone of whispering things that I'm not sure about. Gang stalkers know exactly what they're doing, because many of those whom I knew for sure that were harassers would walk by me and then go like this. That is how that works. It is a programming of your mind. When I understood the mechanisms through which the voices were actually created in someone's head, the whispering voices completely stopped, because I wasn't confused anymore. This is gonna sound weird or funny. Well, I did it because I wanted to laugh a little bit. So when gang stalkers were programming me to hear insults, I actively thought of the word my P-U-S-S-Y. So like gang stalkers would walk by me and I would literally whisper to myself, my P-U-S-S-Y. And it got to the point where I had programmed myself to hear whispers that will say my P-U-S-S-Y every time a person walked by me. And it was hysterical. It was funny. It was so freaking funny. But I did that in order to confirm if I was hearing things or these people were harassing me. That is how I got to find out the truth. That gang stalking is primarily a way of making the person hear voices via confusion by using Gestalt psychology. As the gang stalking operation moved forward, I began doing a lot of things with my imagination to see how what I imagined would actually affect the gang stalking narrative. With time, the voices that I was hearing had a completely different narrative that had nothing to do with gang stalking, and that I found myself enjoying. That in itself was a complete psychosis of the coolest experience that I have ever had but it was unhealthy nonetheless. The fact that I liked the narrative made me even more scared because the narrative was so cool and so fun that I could easily be addicted to that because it was so amazing. By the end of the gang stalking operation, I was still hearing voices. However, I noticed that the narrative changed depending on what I was thinking. At this point, there's absolutely zero voices. Like, I'm fine. My mind is actually calm. It's completely quiet. And I also learned how to really take my mind by the reins and only allow it to think things that I want it to think. Gang stalking is a very purposeful and calculated way to make someone go crazy. I used to literally just go do laundry and had people yell at me that I was crazy. Even though I was behaving like a completely stable person. My head might have been a disaster at the time. However, I wasn't behaving like a disaster. I never looked like a disaster. I might have looked tired AF and maybe fat AF, but I never looked like an unhinged person. If you're getting gang stalked, what you have to do is close the gateways of entry to anyone that is trying to perpetuate a self-destructive behavior. Any self-destructive behavior, anything that will bring you into meeting a lot of strangers, because gang stalking is primarily driven by strangers. You don't know who they are, but they know who you are. And the encounters with these people is purposed to create psychological disturbances, where you are lost in thought, where you are wondering things, where you are questioning the integrity of someone. If someone does anything that makes you doubt their integrity more than once, cut them off immediately. Trust your instincts, regardless of you being targeted by this bunch of dull-witted people. The truth is that most people, regardless of what appearance they might impose on the world, these people are bored with their lives. And gang stalking is something that, to me, never got boring. It was always fascinating. And I cannot imagine the type of excitement that these people might get from watching how their influence affects someone. I imagine that it must be intoxicating, but I will never know because I have better things to do. Because I'm not bored with my life like these people might be. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. My name is Efren Rodriguez and I was gang stalked for 7 years. In this channel, I dispel the myths about gang stalking and I explain to you the psychological mechanisms through which gang stalking functions. Additionally, I have been a personal trainer for 10 years and I will teach you how to get lean and sculpted AF without tricks, without gimmicks, without trying to sell you anything. At this point, we are 7 weeks in my current transformation program, where I go from a fat FUCK to a sculpted mother effer. And it all has been done through sound nutrition and work. Most importantly though, commitment. In this channel, you will learn everything there is to know about gang stalking, if that's something that interests you, right? Thank you so much for stopping. I'll see you in my next video. Stalking.